There's no way that the Arizona Cardinals, 3-10, 5 losses in a row, 3 of them allowing 40-plus points, could be a trap game for the Houston Texans. Right? Right? Plus, Will Kunkel, Kicking It with Kunkel, joins me to talk about the current state of the Houston Texans, who might be the hottest team in the National Football League. I'm Paul Gallant. This is the Gallant Says podcast on Thursday, December 11th, 2025. Let's go.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Grow, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi! Welcome to a live edition of the Gallant Says podcast. I'm Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. On Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow, but I'd appreciate a sub. X at Gallant Says pod. Instagram too at Sports Gallant. TikTok at Gallant Says. And on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. It's available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe, rate, and review. Please 5 stars. The Gallant Says podcast. Last 4 games of the season for the Texans present a huge opportunity for the offense in my mind. That's the part of this team that we want to see improve. And if you have been watching this show enough or listening to just about any Texans content creator that has a clue over the course of this year, they've been telling you that going into the year, the defense was going to win them games. And by the end of the year, you're hoping the offense can get into a groove and improve to the point where they can occasionally do enough to win. Say this team actually needs to score points to win. With this defense, maybe that never happens this year. But we need the offense to get to that next level. Chiefs game left a lot to be desired. Colts game left a lot to be desired. Hell, most games have left a lot to be desired outside of what we saw from the Texans against the Ravens and outside of what we saw from the Texans against the 49ers. We need to see that next level. Can it happen? I don't know. I do know that these next 2 games in particular could help the Texans build a lot of confidence. The Arizona Cardinals have been getting their doors blown in by just about every single offense in the league. It seems like they're out. Whether they're out on Jonathan Gannon or out on everything, I think Trey McBride, their tight end, is really the one guy that you look at on this roster and say, yeah, that guy's good, but it leaves a lot to be desired. The Raiders, the week after that, it's just Max Crosby and Brock Bowers. I used to interview Pete Carroll weekly, and man, I feel for him. I don't know if he's going to get a second year with the Raiders. But this is a slump buster for sure. Get that Corey Barrett graphic up again with the Titans and the Ravens with a couple of Biggleby-looking, strong, powerful, independent women. That's what the Cardinals are. How confident does a slump buster really make you after the fact? I leave that up to you. We've all gone through dry spells, unless we're Nick Fuentes. We've all gone through dry spells. And maybe because of how long that dry spell was, you lower your standards and you're like, screw it. I'm just going to dip my pen anywhere. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying a lot of men do that. And that could be what the Texans need offensively these next couple of weeks, where outside of a game against the Chargers, who looked really good Monday against the Eagles defensively, I don't really see any of these last 4 games being much of a challenge. The Colts, I don't know how much wind in the sails can come back from what happened, of course, after what happened to Daniel Jones, you know? Like, ooh, Phillip Rivers, that's a fun media story. I don't know if that actually gets this team back on track. If there's anyone needs confidence, and I'll talk about this in a little bit with Will Kunkel, if there's anyone that needs confidence on this Texans offense right now, it's Nick Caley. Everything's got to start speeding up these next couple of games. Everything. And being at NRG Stadium is going to help him out. Being on the road, I can see where maybe there's miscommunication, especially at the end of the first half, against the Colts, against the Chiefs, which led to those weird-ass possessions that they had before heading into halftime. But everything has to get quicker. Does Caley go up stairs to the booth and start calling plays? Maybe that makes things a little bit better for him. His communication with CJ Stroud during the game, I think there's no debate about this. It has to be better than what it's been. Will it be? I don't know. He's got to speed it up, though. And I don't know if we're seeing the kind of progress from Nick Caley that we want. There has been some. You've seen some creativity with some of the plays that they have drawn up of late, but they can't run the football, especially in the red zone. And when the field shrinks, this team is completely incapable of scoring, it feels like. So with that said, and with the issues with the offense, is there any chance of Sunday's game being one of these? Any chance whatsoever?
It's a trap.
Any chance of this game being a trap game?
It's a trap.
I'm curious. When have they played a team that's sucked this season? It's only happened 3 times. Week 4 against the Titans. Took them a while to get going. Week 5 against the Ravens. That game was over early. Game was over before it started with Cooper rushing for Lamar Jackson. Week 11 against the Titans. Took them a while, but they did eventually get going. They're so used to playing the best teams that if you want to go hot take mode, you could argue that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be a trap. But, I mean, it's really hard to do with a straight face, for sure. They're so used to playing the best teams and the way that they keep a level head after playing the best teams while playing the best teams. It's one of the reasons that you got to give DeMeco Ryans a lot of credit for what he's done with this team this year. They were 0-3. Now they're 8-5. Everyone is kissing their ass. So I think they will be focused. I'm having a hard time seeing the Cardinals being the one that stops the Texans streak. But it is the NFL. Anything can happen. And I know DeMeco Ryans hates the rat poison. This is an Alabama guy thing. They don't want the players thinking to themselves, we got this in the bag. This is going to be easy. So I'm going to give DeMeco Ryans and the Texans something to be concerned about. You guys know Jacoby Brissett's name. If you've been following the Texans long enough, you really should know his name. Maybe this young Texans team doesn't. I gotta say, I know Brissett has had success against the Texans in the past. I was blown the fuck away by what he's done against them. You should be blown away by what Jacoby Brissett has done to the Texans. In his career, Brissett is 8-1 against the Texans. 8-1. That blew my mind. I figured it was maybe, I don't know, like 5-3 or something like that. Nope. Jacoby Brissett is 8-1 against the Texans with an 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions TD to interception rate. He's got a passer rating of 92.4. And while he's not averaging a whole lot of yards per attempt, this guy has had success against the Texans from his first game against them. Tom Brady suspended. His backup, Jimmy Garoppolo, gets injured. It's a short week for the Texans against the New England Patriots. 2016. Texans go up to Foxborough, which has been a house of horrors for them historically. Yesterday, by the way, was the anniversary of the Letterman jacket game. And in this game, Jacoby Brissett had maybe the longest run of his career for a touchdown on what I think was a naked bootleg against the Texans that helped the Patriots take him down in a shutout victory. He was their third-string quarterback for that game. Jacoby Brissett has done really well against the Texans. That's not to say that he's going to on Sunday, but keep in mind, this guy just set the NFL record for completions in a game not too long ago. It was in a losing effort by 3 scores. Still, they have more of a pulse with Jacoby Brissett under center than they did with Kyler Murray. So if DeMeco Ryans is looking for something to get the Texans focused on Sunday, this is, I think, something that should help them out a lot. All right, guys. We got a guest. I did a watch party with him on Sunday at Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights. It's time to catch up, or as he would say on his show, kick it with Will Kunkel of Kickin' It with Kunkel. Let's go to the interview. Joining me right now, we did a watch party to see the Houston Texans take down the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium at Easy's Liquor Lounge, my favorite bar in Houston, on Sunday. This guy's one of the hardest working men in the business, hanging out in Houston with me. We're both doing our own thing, kicking it with Kunkel. Will Kunkel, what's going on, dude?
Whoa! I just made this thing wide. What's up?
Zoomed out.
Whoa!
Oh, wow. You got a fancy camera. Must be nice.
That's a big peek into the Kunkel studio here.
It is. I feel like you're showing off a little bit.
You have, so your setup is way more impressive in front of you than mine. I have a cell phone. God, you see, oh my God.
Well, I don't know. Some women, some guys might like that. You know, we're trying to get views.
Okay, all right. I'm protected. You can. Thank God. I've done things Zooms without proper attire on. So I'm glad that's not the case tonight.
Listen, I came here straight from the gym and I smell like absolute dog shit, and that's why I put on a hat. My for whenever I haven't showered, Will, is I'm wearing a hat.
Do you drive your Porsche to the gym?
Oh, I don't have a Porsche. I never will have a Porsche. I went out to some Porsche event way back in the day in Los Angeles, I think, and I just got a free Porsche hat. That was fun. One of my buddies used to work at a dealership out there. Now he's here at Baker Nissan. Sponsorship, possibly you. Anyway, so Texans are now 8-5. Everyone is giving them their flowers. You got people all across the league calling them the best defense in the National Football League, and we have felt that way for a while. You go into the locker room and talk with the players. You talk with coaches. What were the locker room vibes like? We're recording this on a Wednesday.
They were honestly the same kind of as they are every week, like upbeat, fun. Social media teams are doing their little bits. They did the thing today where one player puts on earphones so you can't hear anything, and the other one says a sentence and tries to repeat what they thought they said. So like good vibes, fun vibes. Everyone's in a good mood, and no different though than when they're coming off a loss. I think that's the key with this team, is that they're very even keeled throughout the week, no matter what happens.
That's a credit to DeMeco Ryans, and I heard him talking about that when he was on the Part of My Take podcast that released on Wednesday morning, and that even-keeled nature for a team that obviously started off the season 0-3, a lot of reasons to perhaps panic, even if those losses were all by one score, to where they're at now, where everyone is looking at them, the schedule they have ahead of them, and thinking, okay, they're definitely a playoff team and potentially an AFC South winning team. But for what it's worth, this Cardinals team, which stinks and is probably about to fire their coach, has been frisky at times over the last couple of weeks, maybe not this past week, but it'll be interesting to see what that Cardinals team is on Sunday. Some guys are playing for their jobs. Some guys are coaching for their jobs. So you want to hear that the vibes are even keeled, they're level. We did find out earlier today a couple of different things. Some Texans missing at practice. Azeez Al-Shaair out. Kamari Lassiter out. Nick Chubb, Woody Marks out, as was Trent Brown. A couple other guys limited, banged up. We saw, for what it's worth, most of those guys who did not practice today on the field on Sunday. So the hope is that it's just a rest day. Was that the vibe that you got yesterday?
Yeah, Monday I wouldn't freak out this late in the season. Like everyone's going to be on that list, and like get your rest in now. Get another day off Tuesday, and then back on the field Wednesday. I mean, we saw Kamari Lassiter not practice throughout the week, and then was questionable come Friday, and obviously played, and thank God he did against the Chiefs. So like I'm not stressed right now. So we'll kind of find out when we come back on Thursday. It is now, yeah.
Lassiter played a hell of a game on Sunday.
Dude,
he really did. He had that play, of course, where he took the ball out of Tyquan Thornton's hands in the end zone. He had the interception. You would not have known he was playing on a banged up foot with how well he played.
No, dude, you could make the argument that, I don't think there's a question that he and Stingley are the best NFL duo cornerback-wise in the NFL. And you could make an argument that Kamari Lassiter's top 5 or 6. Like, I want to be cautious and be respectful of guys like J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain. I don't necessarily know who else. Like, Kamari's up there, but when you're the number 2, you're never going to really get that love. But Kamari's like top, 6, 7.
He's kind of like T. Higgins, where
he's
the de facto number 1 of all the number 2s at cornerback. But to what you're saying, yeah, people outside of Houston are probably not going to put him up there. I realize that the draft industrial complex before draft, they're going to throw a lot of shit out there, and a lot of it's going to end up being wrong. And I remember being under the impression, isn't this guy a slot corner or something like that? And he's immediately the number 2 corner for the Texans, who had brought in a couple of journeyman guys that offseason who used to be first-round picks, CJ Henderson and
the kid from Ohio State.
Yes, that exactly. Very forgettable guys who you're basically putting out there as lottery tickets as you try to remember the name.
What's that, dude?
And Lassiter steps in there, takes the job immediately. It was over early. I think it was
Day
over
one.
in OTAs, if not in training camp.
Dude. I remember being like, all right, so they're going to give Lassiter a chance. And then it was like, oh, Lassiter's DB2, like forget about it. And name a weak spot in his game. Like I'm sure he can be better technique wise for sure. Like you can always improve in some areas, but like, it's not like he doesn't like to tackle. It's not like he doesn't like to stick his nose in there and stop the run game. The guy does absolutely everything all the time. One thing I would like to see him not do, and this is what worries me, is his demonstrative actions after making a play. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. I don't give a damn. But you know that when you're playing with razor margin errors and how these officials cannot just throw a flag on a given play, like let's just not even bring the helmet slaps and the taps and the screaming into guys' faces. Like, don't give them a reason. That's all.
You talked about that on our live stream. Right after he knocked the ball out of Tyquan Thornton's hands, he did something. I missed it. I just remember you were like, hey.
It was more demonstrative towards, like, he kind of gave him one of these.
And then, like,
was like, no. Like, he knew what he was doing right away. It was like, no, don't do it, dumbass.
It's tempting, though, and I love his mentality.
Hell yeah.
D'Amico Ryans was talking about the 3 guys that give the Texans defense, I guess, that set the tone for them. And he said Kamari Lassiter was number 1 over Jalen Petrie and over Azeez Al-Shaair, which is very high praise. I think that Lassiter was on whatever show Emmanuel Acho and LaShawn McCoy are now doing. And he said his mentality is basically to go kill when he's out there. And you heard going into the game, there's a mic'd up, I think, from Fox that just came out, and it was talking about like how the Texans are going to hunt. They're going to swarm tonight. That's really what they did, both Jalen Petrie and Kamari Lassiter. Lassiter, what I love about him is something you had mentioned a moment ago. He goes up and he tackles. I'm not saying it's a lost art among cornerbacks, but I do think that we've gone away from being physical. growing up a Patriots fan, I was always a huge Ty Law fan, and Law was great in coverage, great taking the football away, but Law was not afraid to put his nose into people. And Lassiter's one of those guys who likes to hit people.
Ty Law, right? Wasn't it Ty Law?
Well, that's every defensive back ever, isn't it?
Ty Law, I think
defensive back does
like
that.
kind of like that was his jam.
He did. They used to do a dance, and it was to the theme song from the monkeys in The Wizard of Oz. Yo, yo.
Oh yeah.
Yo. They had this weird dance. I can't really explain it. I would do a terrible job if I tried to reenact it. But Lassiter, to bring it back to him, has really been great. As is Jalen Petrie. There's a post that I forgot I made from a couple of years ago where I was talking with Petrie, and I'd asked him about a play against the Ravens where he took on 2 offensive linemen at the same time, just a complete kamikaze kind of move. And that question a bunch of people have found, and now they're all liking it and reposting it. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. This guy clearly has that same kind of mindset too. D'Amico Ryans talked about the edge he sets. Goddamn, that hit on Rashee Rice. Chef's kiss.
A lot of comments we can't repeat here.
We can't. I've rewatched it over and over and over again, and I think it's awesome. It's been funny to see Mitchell Schwartz.
Bro, I was about to ask, there was some dude that was like, what are we talking about here?
I think it's him. Mitchell Schwartz has been digging the biggest trench to say that was a dirty hit. That is as textbook the hit as you could get from a defensive back on a wide receiver who's way up in front of him.
There's nothing wrong with the hit. There's nothing wrong with the hit at all. And has Schwartz done this across the league or for every hit against a Chiefs player? Like why is
a good
this
question.
the one?
It's weird to see because it's one thing to in the moment say, oh, that looked dirty.
Yeah.
But after the fact, when they have that one clear angle, it seems like that's where you should say, well, yeah. I mean, it's just maybe he's defenseless if you're going to make any case, but it wasn't helmet to helmet. And then instead of responding to that, he posted like the grainiest video ever to defend his take on it. No, dude, Petrie just lit him up. And that's what happens when it's very obviously going to a guy who is running perpendicular to you.
And we're going to find out, what is it, on Saturdays when the fines come out, or whatever it is later this week. When those fines come out, we'll see what the NFL thinks.
Yeah, that's a good point. It'll be interesting to see.
I expect him to get fined. I genuinely do. I'm not saying I don't think he should be. I've seen these guys get fined for just looking at dudes. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I'm expecting I forget what the number would be. It would be like, I guess it depends on how many times he's been fined, but I'm not going to be shocked if he is.
Kind of adds to the legend of the Texans defense, which has been so good this year. This is something I talked about today on the show. Colossus podcast. Do the Texans defensively deserve a nickname already? That's question 1. Number 2, what is the nickname if you give them a nickname?
Man, so it's funny you say this. So I did a video the other day on Kickin with Kunkel, which I'm sure you've seen, is all the nicknamed defenses outside of the one I mentioned, the 71 Purple People Eaters of the Vikings, who went to back Super Bowls, so 4 straight. So they were around for a long time. All won Super Bowls. I forgot to mention Legion of Boom. The Steel Curtain, Legion of Boom. Although the Ravens and Bucks didn't have one, now that I think about that. They didn't have a nickname.
No, they didn't. And they should have had a nickname back then.
And they were probably the top 2 defenses. I know the 85 Bears. They didn't, I guess, were they the Broadway Bully? No, that was the Philly. I don't think they had a nickname either.
I had a post earlier today, and I'm pulling it up right now because it was a Reddit post, and it listed a bunch of ones because there were some defenses that had nicknames that I had never heard of. Like the 2019 Patriots were the Boogeymen. I guess that was because
that too. I was like, I've never heard of that.
Sam Darnold seeing ghosts or something like that. There was Blitzburg from the mid 90s Pittsburgh Steelers.
I knew they were a Steel Curtain 2.
Right. There was the there was these New York sack exchange with Mark Gastineau and Joe Klecko.
Yeah, I remember that
from way back in the day with the Jets. I'm looking for some of the other ones there. There were some that haven't actually done anything. There's the fearsome foursome with the Rams. I don't think they ever won they definitely didn't win a Super Bowl. I don't know if they won an NFL championship, but I don't think that the Rams did win one of those. Basically, the pause I have about giving the Texans defense a nickname is that I want to see them accomplish something that, as a team, this franchise has yet to do. And they're not quite there. But defenses that haven't won Super Bowls have had nicknames. Broncos Orange Crush defense from the 70s and the 80s. They never won. They got there, but they got their doors blown off. John Elway got killed in those games. Big Blue Wrecking Crew with the Giants. They had one. Steel Curtain won a bunch. Monsters of the Midway won that one. The Broncos, the no-fly zone of 2015. Never heard that. 2020 Bucks were the Gravediggers. Never heard of that. Dome Patrol for the Saints in the 80s and 90s. They never won anything, but I guess they were really good. I know Ricky Jackson played for them back in the day. The no-name defense for the 72 Dolphins. So I'm assuming in this video, you're talking about a lot of these nicknames. That's
I'm more just kind of like my video. I wasn't talking about the nicknames necessarily as much as I'm like, are they going to be remembered? Like that's is this defense going to be remembered? And the only way this defense is even remembered, let alone a nickname, is if they win it all. Unless you want to go to back Super Bowls and you want to be around for a long time and put your stamp on the league. That's the only way you get remembered. Having a catchy nickname or being really damn good and then just fading out. No one gives a damn. And no one's going to remember you. And they need to win the Super Bowl.
AI suggested.
Uh-oh.
This is Google. So take it with a grain of salt. Google AI sucks. The Houston Texans defense has had several nicknames with, quote, the Taxmen being a recent popular one for the 2024-2025 unit. When was that? Others include Space Force. Another includes Border Patrol. I don't know if everyone's going to co-sign that one. Not here in Houston.
I mean, it has to be something with the Swarm or Swarm City, H-Town. Like,
I saw the Space City Swarm. I think it's simple. I think you just say the Swarm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, just the Swarm.
It sounds like a Stephen King novel. It sounds scary. The Swarm, because he had the Space City thing in there. I don't know.
Don't make it hokey. Don't make this thing like a Houston thing. Make it, just keep it a Texan thing, all right?
Exactly.
It is what it is, and if you don't have one, just do what the Ravens did. The 2000 Ravens, the 2002 Buccaneers. Like, those defenses are remembered forever. They don't have a nickname. Just be kick-ass and pray to God that Nick Caley figures out how to become an OC. Like, that's your biggest hurdle isn't your offense that you're playing. It's the offense that's on your own team. That's what sucks.
You're right on that front. You had a video this week about the Texans being the hottest team in the NFL. On that front, with some of the struggles they're having offensively, just for the sake of being a devil's advocate, can you be the hottest team in the NFL if your offense is still taking baby steps forward?
Well, I think you can be the hottest team because you've won 5 in a row now.
5 in a row, correct.
You might go on to win 9 in a row. And that just speaks volumes about how hot they are on one side of the ball. Like, there's several burners on a stove. One of them's turned up to really high, and the other one's like kind of on just simmering, and like really not even simmering. Like, the offense is frustrating. It's small stuff too. It's baby steps. It's getting the play call in. It's very fundamental things that we talk about players when they're rookies. By the time you get to about week 10, they're no longer rookies. Why does Nick Caley get until week 15 to figure out how to get a play call in? I don't understand it. Like, in basketball, when you were younger, you would have to have like 10 passes before you shoot the ball in practice, or you practice without a basketball so you can learn each other's names and things like that. Jokes aside, I mean, this sounds rude and it sounds like we're bullying Nick Caley, but this is kind of what it's come to. They need to go to practice without the football, just helmets and shorts, no football, no practice, just the clock starts at 30 and you got to get the play call in enough time to where CJ Stroud can go out there, make reads and figure out the defense and make audibles. Like, forget about the execution. all the pre-snap penalties and all that stuff correlates to the fact that the OC and the foundation is so poor and so bad. I don't understand when the national media is now giving all the praise to the defense and everything that they earned to the Texans in general because they don't watch intently. I'm waiting for them to catch up with how bad the offense is. And if they do, it's going to be late in the game when it all really matters. And it's going to come back to bite them in the ass because they can't figure out the minor stuff. And the later we go in the season, and if we get into the playoffs, the minute details will matter that much more. They will be that much more magnified. And Nick Caley has been just an utter disappointment. It's week 15 and we're having silly conversations.
There's a part of me that wonders if moving him upstairs would help him with his process.
What's it going to do? Hurt?
Right. Because I agree with you in that there does seem to be a lack of urgency at times, and we've really seen it at the end of the first half, the last two games, where there seems to be a real lack of a plan. And,
but hold on, pause.
Hey,
yes, lack of a plan, but it doesn't require a plan to know that one timeout approaching midfield, 45 seconds, like spike the ball. And people are like, well, it's up to CJ. Dude, if your OC's in your ear yelling for the play call to come in, it's not up to you. Like, maybe at some point you just say, hell with this guy. Like, I got to spike this ball. Like, I'm ignoring him entirely. But the process is so flawed from Caley that forget about the plan.
I get what you're saying. And it's definitely not all on Stroud. I'll admit, though, I'm of the belief that if you're the quarterback on the field, and it is one of those situations, it's on you. Because if you're waiting for the communication is going to take time. To what you're saying, you're right. If the guy's yelling in your ear, hey, this is what we're going to do. Are you disobeying
Are you
the
not
coach?
like, what if you're like thinking about what you're going to do and you're not listening, and then like you don't even know what the play call was, and you gotta have. I mean, it's like when I was on air on TV, if the producer's like, do this, and I'm like, no, I'm going to do this, and I toss the break, and knowing the control room's ready for me to toss the break, it's like, what the hell, dude? Like, what'd you just do? Like, well, what you were telling me made no sense, so I just tossed the break. It's like, it starts with the OC, and it's fundamental. I don't care if you get play calls wrong at this point. Just get the play call in.
From a clock management perspective, though, I do think in that specific situation where it's obviously got to spike the ball, Stroud's got to spike the ball, and he's got to hurry them up to the line of scrimmage to spike the ball. There's going to be times like that where waiting for the coach.
Next time, it'll happen next time.
I hope so. And to your point, though, I mean, Caley's got to get better with this, and this has been one of the bigger frustrations with just the Texans under DeMeco Ryans, who is doing a great job with the defense and has done a great job as well to keep this locker room even keeled despite an 0-3 start. I mean, they're 8-5. They've won 5 in a row. And as you said, they could win 9 in a row to wrap up the year. But there are a lot of things that don't get cleaned up that happen so much. And it makes you wonder, wait, how do you keep making the same mistakes? And blah, 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 definition of insanity.
This is why I was so pissed off about not the hiring in of itself, but remember when I asked DeMeco Ryans, I don't know if you saw the clip, like, is Nick Caley going to continue to call plays? And he scoffed, was like, well, who else is to? Exactly, DeMeco, like exactly. You didn't set your guys up for success if this experiment, which is what it was with Nick Caley, fails. He had never called plays before. We didn't know if it was going to be successful. This position of OC on this team right now is built for somebody who has done it before, who has scars, who has learned, and now knows how to adapt if things go awry. Because if this doesn't work, you're built to win a Super Bowl. This isn't the Browns, the Panthers, or some other team that's like, all right, hey, take a couple years to figure it out. We're a few years away. We got to figure out some things. This Texas team is built to win right now. So you don't have anybody else in that building that is ready to help Nick Caley. Bill Lazor didn't help Bobby Slowick. Gerard Johnson didn't help Bobby Slowick. Those guys have their own jobs to do anyway. Nick Caley's inability to adapt and adjust and to know how to do the rudimentary things of this is unacceptable. That's why I didn't like the hire, but I hated it in particular because they didn't hire somebody else to help him. That's why when he scoffed at me, I was like, all right, man, that's kind of my point.
Offensively, I wonder if that was D'Amico's final call. There's a part of me that believes, and I don't know what happened. This is speculation, but D'Amico got to pick his guy for year one. Bobby Slowick works out year one. Year two doesn't work out so well. Nick Caserio's like, well, how about we try this guy out? And I think these guys respect each other enough to where D'Amico was open to it. And now what you're seeing is from Cole Popovich, who has risen the ranks, actual improvement from the offensive line. So a point for Nick Caserio. But on the other side of things, eventually, it took a while to get to that point because of Caserio.
And just had
the
the worst game against the Chiefs, though. 54% pressure rate allowed.
Yep. And look, they're a good defense. They're definitely not the best defense in the league, as Bill Simmons was suggesting on his podcast. But I'm wondering if now, okay, Caserio got his pick. Does D'Amico come back to him and say, hey, this isn't working, we got to bring somebody else in during the offseason? I suppose you could say, well, at the very least, it wasn't the Chip Kelly experience in Vegas where he got paid all that money and didn't do dick. But from the sound of things, doesn't seem like he maybe had as much control as he needed. I wonder if changes are made for the offensive coordinator, and it really does depend on like how far do you go. If you get to the AFC Championship game for the first time in your franchise history, can you make changes in the offseason that seem like they need to be made? I don't know. If you get to the second round of the playoffs and you lose again, are you going to make CJ Stroud have a third different offensive coordinator in as many years?
That's another thing to throw in here. You want Nick Caley to work. We're all desperate. If you're a Texans fan or if you're CJ, you are desperate for Nick to figure this thing out, because the last thing you want to do is go to OTAs and minicamp with another offensive coordinator. Again, dude, this is not some like reclamation project with the Texans right now. This is built. This is ready to go. This is ready to win. They have the best defense we've seen in a really long time. They're the best defense in the NFL. It's not even close. They're winning games because of their defense in spite of the offense. So, like, you want Caley to figure this thing out, but we're in week 15, and we're talking about not a bad timeout. We're talking about the same exact problem. They had the same exact situation last week.
Yeah.
So if you didn't learn from it in a week, which should be very simple to learn from because it's so simple, therefore someone that's been through it before knows like what to do in these situations. It doesn't mean it's handled perfectly all the time, but you sure as hell don't do it back-to-back weeks in the same exact situation. It's so baffling to me that this is happening and that it's acceptable, and they set themselves up with no plan B or nothing to help. Like I was hoping in the bye week that they were going to hire somebody as like an assistant offensive coach or someone that just comes in and says, hey, this is ridiculous. Here's how I can help you. Like just somebody that does that. This is where it could get messy in the offseason, by the way. If the McNairs are like, what the hell happened with the OC again? Whose decision was it? Where did it come from? And then I don't know if they're going to point fingers, but like someone's got to answer. Someone's got to say something. How does that evolve and how does that devolve? God forbid, like you can't trust either of them to hire an OC or to scout an offensive lineman. So do you just bring in an outside?
Let Cal do it.
Bro,
I'm kidding. Or whatever that group is that's always brought in as a consultant for.
That's my fear is that might be the best answer. That might be the best answer.
We'll see what happens. Again, things are going good for the Texans, and I don't want us to sound like we're mad at them specifically, but the offense has been a big frustration, and I think everyone's on the same page with the offense, and you can give a lot of credit to the Chiefs defense, but Stroud had his moments too where I thought he could have been better. I'm holding Stroud to a very high standard. D's get degrees. I gave him a D for the game. I felt like he made some good moments.
He did much better. I thought he made so much happen that a lot of quarterbacks couldn't have made happen.
I agree with you. There were some plays he had from a highlight perspective, awesome. But the stretch in the third and fourth quarter, I mean, 5 3-and-outs in the second half. To me,
that's deeper than Man, I just think that the issues on the totem pole, like you get to CJ, it's like down here versus the offensive line allowing a nearly 55% pressure rate and Nick Caley not knowing what the hell he's doing are such big issues. That's like CJ's not perfect. And then you want him to trust the offensive line. I mean, how are you going to stand tall, step into the throws? Like Like, you just got punched in the mouth 9 times, and you go like this, and you flinch. You're like, oh, you're a bitch. Like, bro, you're just punching 9 times in the face. Like, I'm going to flinch. Come on.
You're right from that perspective. I feel like, though, at the same time, I've seen what Stroud can do. I know that he is capable of overcoming some of this, given what we saw from his rookie year. Maybe that's something he needs to get back towards where he was. In terms of, I felt like he was a little bit more difficult to beat when he was facing all those rushes, because the offensive line was not very good his rookie year either.
But if you look at the numbers, it was markedly better. Like,
from the pressure rate perspective,
like 15 to 25% better on average.
Well, goddamn, but
like, yeah, big time better. Which is crazy, because if you look at the players' names, you're like, how?
Yeah, seriously. But at the same time, it is, and for Stroud specifically here, I hate that we very often blame the offensive line and the offensive coordinator. We've done it a lot, you know, and I think it's fair to throw some criticism at CJ Stroud for that game Sunday. To what you said, exactly right. He's very low on the totem pole of issues. I believe in Stroud, his talent, his ability, which is why I get frustrated, because I feel like he can be at a level. When you see those plays that he makes on a regular basis, I think he could do that more often than he actually does. To your point, yeah, offensive line coordinator need work, but I think very often we're spending so much time protecting them, and it is year 3, and the special quarterbacks elevate the team around them, even if maybe there's a talent deficiency. And sure, there's a certain point where maybe that doesn't work anymore. Maybe that's what's going on with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes right now, but I would like a little more. That said, to what you're saying about the offensive line, to what I'm saying about the offensive line, to what you're saying about Nick Haley, to what we're both saying about Nick Haley. Yeah, these things need to get better. The good news for them is there's 4 weeks left. You can still get better. And I think these next 2 weeks in particular.
Or 14 weeks, for gosh sakes. I'm not betting on it getting better. I'm just not. There's just no way. Where has this offense, this is the exact same team. I think everything's in general across the board has been elevated a little bit. I think the defense has certainly got a little bit better since week 1. I think special teams has definitely gotten better since week 1. And I think the offense overall has elevated and gotten better since week 1. And there's a couple more spikes. But generally speaking, this is the same team from week 1. The offense has made almost no strides. The defense came out really, really high. There's only so much space for them to like improve. Special teams has had too many blips, and now they've kind of seemed to have settled it recently. But the offense has improved incrementally. I mean, just minorly. There are some more positive blips, and that's about it. Like, they went from worst in the red zone to second to worst. Like, that's 14 weeks, man, of work and preparation and changes and adaptations and improvements. 14 weeks. Then they're now just second.
They have a really tough time running the football when the field gets small. And I'm with you in that. That's not getting better. I think that some of the weapons have been better, either in the case of Dalton Schultz than they were last year, or that when called upon, I think Jaden Higgins is making some progress, and I think Jalen Knowles making progress. But to your question about where the progress is coming, that's really the only place I can see it, as CJ Stroud gets his feet back underneath him after missing most of 3 games with a concussion.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, if your girlfriend cheats on you endlessly and all of a sudden one day
she would never, but thank you.
All of a sudden you follow her to a restaurant and she's alone and she catches you and you're like, oh, I thought you were cheating. Like, I didn't cheat on you. Like, well, you did. Like, we all know you have been, just today you didn't. And so then we're like, CJ, stand tall in the pocket, be better. It's like, he doesn't trust the offensive line. They're not good. There's a severe lack of talent on the offensive line. And then you couple that with maybe a bad play call and not being able to figure out the blitz because you're not getting to the line in time. I don't think you're wrong that CJ's not playing perfectly. Like, he's not. He would admit he needs to stand in the pocket better. But it's like saying, I got to not flinch after getting hit 9 times. It's not reasonable. How about we have, a pie chart and 99% of the problems are Nick Haley, the offensive line. And we're like, yeah, but we can get better from CJ. Yes, I agree. But can we can we work on all this? Or here's another one. There's big piles all over the house, and they're all your wife's piles. And then you leave one little carton out, and the wife's like, what the hell is this? It's like, are we serious? Are we not going to work on the piles over here? Like, this is the problem? Is
this a current problem? Not a current problem for you?
Heavens.
Good. Okay. By the way, we're both in great relationships.
Of course, things are going to be magnified like we talked about throughout the season and when we get down here. Like, we're going to start really missing Joe Mixon. This is when we're really going to start missing Joe. Early on, it's a long season. Let's figure it out. Woody, here he comes. But we're really going to start missing Joe now. And if you don't know how to close a half, holy shit, that could knock you out of the playoffs. I think.
Sure.
And not to mention, the competition ain't going to be the Raiders and the Cardinals or a banged-up Colts team in the playoffs. Like, you're going to be playing some of the best teams that know what to do and how to do it. And they're not going to beat themselves. That's the thing. You could be a better team but lose because you beat yourself, and it's week 14, you're still doing this stuff. So what tells me in 3 weeks that you're not going to do it again?
Yeah, those are good questions. I'm hoping that, much like earlier this year, someone posted the meme. I think it was, I'm forgetting his name, but he posted this a couple of times. There's like that slumpbuster meme of Texans going up against the Ravens and the Texans going up against the Titans. And apologies for forgetting who posted that. It made me laugh to the point where I actually used it in one of my thumbnails.
That's the scary part. They didn't actually have success against the Titans. They had success against the Titans in the fourth quarter of the first game, but not the first three.
Right,
and really got out there
forever.
Like,
until the fourth quarter, right? Yeah, it was Corey Barrett, by the way, who was the one who posted it. Last question before we wrap it up, because this game against the Cardinals, like, you better win, and they should. I'm not
sneaky good offense,
nervous.
Though. I'm telling you that Trey McBride.
Yeah, Brissett's been great. For all things considered, Brissett's been great. Like, when Murray goes down and they don't want to bring him back, you would think. But Jacoby Brissett, who is somehow still in the league, a guy who beat the Texans way back in the day when Tom Brady was suspended and Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt and ran for like a 50-yard touchdown on a naked bootleg against them. That is a guy who has beaten this team in the past. I think, hell, he might have even beaten them with Indianapolis. So they can't afford to sleep on it, but they should win this game. I did want to ask about one last thing, though, and I think you're onto something here. So I get very mad about specific kinds of social media posts. I get very mad about them because when they do well, I'm like, well, fuck this. I can't do this. And I'm specifically talking about, there's a couple of women, strong, powerful, independent women, bless their hearts, that have stepped into the content creating game when it comes to sports. And there's one that just walks around and her pajongas are just bouncing around and she's making picks. Now, you have found a wholesome way to do this. I love this idea. You're giving hot takes while walking with the baby.
Yeah.
I love this. This is fantastic. And we need more wholesome content like this with cute kids, as opposed to every Insta thought in the world, strong, powerful, independent women that they might be, posting their pics and getting likes. We need to strike back, and this is how the dudes can do it. Walk with your kid.
My baby, like their babies, bouncing around as I give my hot take. Yesterday, when I thought about doing it and I did it, I was like, this is like truly ingenuity comes out of necessity. I had no time to do it because when she's awake, I got to be with her. When she's sleeping, I put her down, but then she wasn't falling asleep, so I had her on me and I was wearing her. And then I was like, this is the only time I got. Like, let's see what happens.
You got to do it. You got to do it some more. Well, this is great.
All right, I will. I'll do more and more. Well, it's going to become my thing. And then all of a sudden she's going to get too old. And then I'm going to have another baby for this just to stay relevant.
So see, well, you're going to have a huge old-fashioned Catholic family and just to keep it going.
My wife was Italian, so maybe.
There we go. Okay. He is Will Kunkel. Check him out. Kicking It with Kunkel. YouTube specifically, but he's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's on the TikTok. He's on everything. And we're probably going to do another watch party before the end of the year.
I was thinking about that.
Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having an alpha male like me on.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Now, fuck you. Get out. Get out. So that was Will. Great to catch up with him. We had a great time Sunday night, at Easy's Liquor Lounge. They got some great food there. And for Lights in the Heights, which is this weekend, I will be there at some point. So very much looking forward to that. Make sure you're subscribing to all of his channels, especially his YouTube channel, Kickin' It with Kunkel. He's still going out there and reporting the same way he was when he was over at Fox on all things Houston sports. Also doing some stuff with the old station I used to work at, which I have no beef with that station, by the way. A lot of people have asked. So check him out when he's in there as well. All right. So tomorrow's show is going to focus more on some of the Houston sports we haven't talked about in a bit. I don't really have much more to say about Texans Cardinals. You know, this is one of those games that they should win. And I'm hoping they do it convincingly. And I'm hoping that they do it in a way where the offense actually gets its shit together. Will it? I don't know. I really don't know. There have been glimpses. I see so many people talking about the Texans offense and how it is taking steps in the right direction. The offensive line's really improved. Nick Caley's really improved. Everyone on the outside sees it. Why don't we see it? That's been frustrating. I saw Ron point that out. Ron Hughley from The Drive with Clint Sterner. And I'm in the same boat as him. I keep on hearing about it. I want to fucking see it. Maybe we will see it at some point. Anyway, before we get out of here, I figured we'd wrap up the show with a little good old-fashioned brain rot. It'll be the new segment that wraps up the show. We'll do politics again soon. Anyone see this from Timothy Chalamet? Sounds like an Adam Sandler line. I saw this quote pop up from Timothy Chalamet, who seems like a man of the people. Until this, Timothy Chalamet says he's given, quote, top-of-the-line performances, end quote, these last 7 or 8 years. Quote from old Timothy, I don't want people to take it for granted. I don't want to take it for granted. This is really some top-level shit, end quote. Okay. I've loved him in Dune and Dune 2. But outside of that, I haven't seen him in much. Lady Bird, haven't seen it. Heard it's good. Beautiful Boy, haven't seen it. No desire to. Little Women, no desire to watch it. The French Dispatch, I'd rather watch The French Connection, which I've never watched. The original one with the late Gene Hackman. Bones and All, nah. Wonka, nah. Complete Unknown. I can't watch biopics, specifically music biopics. I just can't. Music biopics are all the same thing. If you've ever seen the John C. Reilly movie, Walk Hard, Kristen Wiig's in it, amongst many others. If you've ever seen that movie, you will have a very hard time ever watching a musical biopic again. They're all the fucking same. They're all of them the same. Can't do it. I know that's about Bob Dylan. Not the biggest fan of Bob Dylan. Don't hate him. That sounds like Sonny from Sonny and Cher, but I feel like he sounds like that as well. Marty Supreme, he believes it's the best of his career in that role. I like The King that he was in. Marty Supreme. It's a American sports comedy drama film. It's a career-defining performance for him. Timothy Chalamet is Marty Mauser, an aspiring ping pong champion. Gwyneth Paltrow is Kay Stone, a wealthy retired actress and socialite who forms a connection with Marty. Ooh, so he's going after the Cougars. Odessa Asian is a married pet store employee having an affair with Marty. Huh. Yeah, I'm still not in. I'm not in. Nothing against him. But I see that quote and that makes me want to watch it less. Brain rot. What else we got? Anyone see this photo of on the lam drug kingpin Ryan Wedding? Imagine that the FBI is hunting you down and this is the picture that they post. He looks a lot like Carson Wentz. I mean, he really looks a lot like Carson Wentz there. Is Carson Wentz Ryan Wedding? For those who don't know about Ryan Wedding, very interesting character. Ryan Wedding is a Canadian alleged drug trafficker and former Olympics snowboarder. He represented Canada at the 2002 Olympics in the men's parallel giant slalom event. After the Olympics, he became a transnational drug trafficker and orchestrated the murders of various witnesses. He is a top 10 most wanted fugitive and allegedly runs one of the world's largest drug trafficking operations. Huh. He went to jail in 2011. There's going to be a television documentary series, Snow King, from Olympian to Narco, from Rolling Stone Films about it. He's charged with multiple felonies, including drug trafficking, leading a criminal organization. He is alleged to have killed a married couple, Jagdar Sidhu and Harbhajan Sidhu, and also Mohammed Zafar. He killed the Sidhus in 2023, Zafar in 2024. Allegedly, he's believed to have ordered their murders alongside Andrew Clark. Huh. And this FBI pic of him looking like he's sending a Snapchat out to some hoochie mama somewhere is apparently something that could bring him down. Again, here's the photo. I mean, fuck. Watch along on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you want to see what he looks like. Brain rot. People are mad at Zach Brown. You like my chicken fried. Oh, man, a chicken fried. A pair of chicken fried. It's chicken. It's chicken and it's fried. People are mad at Zach Brown because his concert at the Sphere in Vegas looked like this. Again, you got to watch along. I mean, I suppose this would be a little trippy. There's like a skull, and he's wearing like a skull sombrero. And Zach Brown's wearing like a crown of bones. Now that you got this red door and there's a cross on it, but it looks like there's blood on it. And now it opens up, and then here's the skeleton again. And I mean, if you took drugs, this would be a lot. And here's the thing: if you're going to the Sphere, you're taking shrooms. I've never been, but everyone that I know who's been, I believe they have taken shrooms. But this is what you would have seen. Imagine here in the background, you got this skull looks like he's about to eat you, like your chicken fried. You know, like my chicken fried. Cold beer on Friday night. You got paranormal shit. It looks like Satan. Hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan. Hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan. That's the Zach Brown experience. People are mad at him for that. I don't know, man. You go to the Sphere, you're going to see some wacky shit. I think that would actually be pretty cool on the drugs. And one last thing to wrap it up, speaking of drugs, there's a pill that is the Ozempic of alcohol, cheap pill. Naltrexone, which costs about $1.60 a pill, decreases the urge for alcohol by blocking opioid receptors in the brain, reducing the dopamine reward effect that people get from drinking. Essentially, alcohol no longer has the same satisfying feeling, which helps to diminish the desire for it. Okay, that's pretty good for alcoholics. Good for them. been used by the FDA to treat alcohol use disorder since 1994 and opiate dependence since 1984. Wait, so this has been around for a while? It just hasn't been cheap? Huh. Anyway, I like alcohol, so I'll never take this. Unless I have to someday. Hopefully it never comes to that. That's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. You should be watching along on YouTube, at Paul Gallant, on Twitch, at Gallant Says, on Instagram, at Sports Gallant, on Facebook, at Paul Gallant Sports, on X, at Gallant Says Pod. So many ways to watch the show. Also on TikTok, at Gallant Says. Although we are off TikTok right now. Make sure, if you haven't already, that you like this video and subscribe on YouTube or on Twitch. I prefer a sub, but a follow is very much appreciated. A like or a follow on Facebook. A follow on Instagram and TikTok. That is how you get clips of the show. And you can get it in podcast form, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify after the fact. Subscribe, rate, and review the Gallant Says podcast. I think we got to get it on Amazon Podcasts or Amazon Music. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. But we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Until tomorrow at 7 a.m. on a Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Ask Gallant Anything Friday. I am merely Paul Gallant. So long. Farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you, fair Spanish lady.